What's happening, folks? Greg Carlson here with Keller Williams Realty. We also have John Martin, a real property manager from Tower Property Management. How you doing today, John?
I'm doing well, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming by. What was your day like today?
Ooh, wild. Always in the life of property management. We're putting out fires left and right. Luckily, we're fortunate to have an influx of onboarding landlords and tenants, so can get a little chaotic, but we've got the systems in place to knock it down and take care of what we need to take care of.
Now, is that typical for this time of year?
You know, our leasing market kind of slows down a little bit after school starts,
Right.
Kind of the cyclical nature of it. So the lease traffic is a little bit slower, but I wouldn't say that there's a good time or bad time for landlords or property owners to request our services and try to jump on board with us.
Okay, very good. This particular video is geared towards pretty much new investors that want to pursue the buy and hold technique.
Yep.
People that want to purchase a house and lease it out for year after year after year. And one of the services that one can choose is to hire a property management company. Now, some of the questions are like, does it make sense all the time? When should you? How to find a good one? What to look for in a bad one, etc. So those are some of the things we're going to cover.
Yeah, all
today.
good questions.
Awesome. So, John, what does a property manager do?
So that's a good question, and it's kind of a loaded question because it it embodies a lot of stuff. So
Right.
what I like to say is we are a full-bodied A to Z property management company, and what that means is we can do as much or as little as you want us to do in overseeing somebody's investment rental property. Typically, what that means is we market the property for lease, find tenants to fill the lease. That includes, screening the tenants through all of our networks, making sure that they're a proper fit, meet the qualifications that we have in place to make sure that they would be good tenants. Of course, before that, we market the property, make sure that the rental rates are up to par, and we're asking what we should ask for the market in rental rates. And then once we get some tenants in there, onboarding tenants into move-in, sometimes that takes a little bit of time getting the property made ready for a move-in, so scheduling cleaning companies, landscaping services, painters, a variety of different trades to come out there and make sure it's, we're handing over a clean product to these tenants. And then once they move in, we handle the day-to-day maintenance that goes on. Any work orders from fixing plumbing leaks to, HVAC systems. That's a big one in the summertime when they go out. To collecting rent, making sure that rent's paid on time. We do anything and everything. It's kind of a crazy business, but it definitely offers a value to our property owners, and it takes a lot of stress off of their plate.
So, property owners, right? I imagine that those are your number one client. But what kind of property owner typically reaches out to you? Are they distressed and they've had enough with doing their own property management, or are they people that go right to you after purchasing their first property?
So that's a good question too, and we really get kind of anything and everything from all spectrums. We do see a lot of people that are kind of just fed up with it and have some either troubled tenants or just don't have the bandwidth to take care of their property, so they kind of dump them on us. Right. We have a lot of out-of-state investors just that are drawn to our market because it is such a high-paced, fast-paced market for rentals and just buy, sell completely. But we get it all. We have people with just one or two properties all the way up to people with a portfolio of 10 to 15 and multifamily structures too. So people that haven't even been in their home sometimes and just buy it, sight unseen out in different states, hire us to make sure that it's a smooth process and we can get in there and take it over as soon as they close.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, has anybody jumped ship from another property management company because they were fed up of the way they're being treated or weren't very happy with their service, gave you guys a call, and you pretty much saved the day?
Of course. No, and that happens.
Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, and just like any other trade, there's good and bad people, and sometimes relationships go sour in any environment. Doesn't mean that, you're coming off of a bad property management company. Just sometimes there's not a good fit. So we've taken on several that have transitioned from pre-existing companies. We actually had one today where a guy has been with the company for about 15 years.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the owner's wife passed away, and they lost some some key pieces to their team, and their service kind of took a hit after that. And so he wants to get back to that good service, because it does translate to losing tenants, which loses landlords money. And it's, property management, you have to be kind of on the ball and on top of it 24/7 in order to get the best end result for the owners. So yeah, it does happen, and we try to work directly with the other property management company, and we try not to make it awkward as much as we can, and just take it over as seamlessly as possible.
Right. Now you said 24/7. Is it really 24/7?
Oh yeah, I mean, we can get calls at any point. If it's an emergency situation, a water line bust, I mean, that's not something you want to wait till the next morning to figure out.
Sure.
Fortunately, we have enough systems in place to take care of that, to where that workload is kind of spread out through our team, so nobody just takes the brunt of that and has to answer questions all the time. But certainly, I mean, it's a 24/7 gig. You got to kind of respond when emergencies arise.
Wow. If people can't get a hold of you because they don't live in the greater Austin, Texas area, and they want to find a good property management company where they live, out of state or somewhere else in Texas, how do they go about interviewing and finding a really good, reputable property management?
Yeah, first thing I would probably say is look at reviews, ask the other professionals in the industry, aka other realtors, that work directly with property managers, and get their referrals. Ask the right questions. Communication is key. I think that is a wonderful question to ask, as far as what the frequency is like on communication, what kind of systems they use, what response times are like. Tenant retention is key in those scenarios, so make sure that they're not only going to be communicative to the owners, but also the tenants themselves, just because it's the trickle-down effect. So, but utilize your resources that you have close to you.
Great. Thank you again for sharing that. What everybody's wanting to know is why they should get and when they should get a property manager, and why they should use you and not do it themselves.
That's a good question. I get that a lot. It's something people can handle on their own. What I always recommend is, if you have one or two properties, that might be a little bit easier if you're local and have the contact list set up for general contractors, plumbers, your vendor list, if you will. If you have access to that and are confident that they'll respond to you and give you reasonable rates, and you don't mind setting that up and talking to tenants, then it's something that can be done on your own. I see people try it, and some people do it successfully, and some people come back to me and say they need more help. So, that kind of answers that one. And as far as when you should try to join up with a property management team, really just depends on if you can handle it on your own or not. If you reach kind of that threshold to where you're just not getting the results you want, it's more of a pain in the butt than you thought it was, then reach out and we'll take it over for you.
So it seems to me like it's not all cut and dry or black and white. It seems to be a case-by-case basis, depending on what one's particular situation is.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
It's all situational. It depends on the home, too. Some homes are a little bit easier to manage than others. Age of home, different things that go into the home. If there's a lot more features into a home that take more time to maintain and more maintenance hours, it can be a little bit harder to do on your own.
Now, somebody asked me the other day, how much time does it take to manage a property?
It can be, again, that's kind of mixed bag. I mean, we have a full-time gig with it, so it can be pretty time-consuming. Mm-hmm. It can kind of come in waves, where you're dealing with a lot of fires at once, and then you don't hear much for a little bit, and then it kind of picks back up. So that's more of a situational question. But I would say, you would want to allot several hours a week to try to maintain what you have.
And that's good to know too, because you could think everything's good and gravy, then you go on vacation for a week, and all of a sudden you get hit with a storm of issues. Great. What recommendations would you have for somebody that wants to give it the old college try and do it themselves?
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Have a property manager on standby that you can call if it gets too crazy. But really, if you have a vendor list set up and are confident that they can respond to you quickly and you can get a hold of them quickly when needed, that's kind of a big portion of it, is just knowing who to call for what instances that do come up. We've seen a lot of different things, so we know how to triage issues as they come down the line for us. But if you really don't know how to do that, it might make the situation a little bit harder. So try to get a vendor list set up. On top of that, try to find different property management software that might be less expensive for smaller portfolios to keep track of rents, allow your tenants to pay rent through them. That way you have a ledger on where your money's coming and going. It'll be purposeful for tax reasons, and will also give you an insight on how much money you're making, and it's kind of the meat and potatoes of what you're doing.
Now, earlier, before we started filming, you mentioned something about keeping a log.
Yeah, so you want to log everything and keep track of everything. And one thing that I would say is a huge kind of a cautionary thing is email everything, get everything in writing. Don't ever take a verbal conversation to be the end result of what you want to see happen. Make people send that to you in writing to confirm what it is. It's very important to always go back on that. It's saved our butt multiple times, and it's good practice to always have everything in writing that you do at any point.
Great, great. So looks like we're almost out of questions here. What I'd like to do is just wrap it up with some tips and tricks for those, or anything that we might have not covered here today.
Yeah, no, and pretty much we covered a lot of different things. I would say screen your tenants very well. One thing that we look at is credit scores. You know, it's never fun to evict somebody, but when you're going after someone's credit, someone who's worked very hard to get it up in the upper 700s, lower 800s, they're probably more inclined to do whatever they can to not impact that score negatively. So when you're screening tenants, try to gear towards higher credit individuals. Don't be afraid to ask for additional security deposits if there are foreseen risks involved. Follow fair housing laws when you can. That can be a lawsuit waiting to happen. So make sure you're brushed up on what you can and can't say to certain people, or any people for that matter. And record keeping, back to that log of things. You want to make sure that you have everything and anything in writing and a good record of what's happened. It'll save you, I promise.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, folks, what we're going to do now is we're going to throw John here a little curveball.
Oh, no.
What we want to know, we want to hear a wacky, zany story that you only get in the industry, the property management industry.
Anybody else that knows property management knows that there's lots of those. So, we've had several to come down the line from.
I can only imagine.
Tenants calling me at 4 a.m. trying to discuss, their rental ledger.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Get pretty gnarly. But one of the most recent one is just a frequency on how issues can come up. We had a condo unit that had some AC issues in the summertime. AC went out, sent out our AC reps to go fix the problem. They did. A week later, something else failed with the system. Had to send them back out, fix that problem. A week later, something else failed. Went out there, assessed that the old system probably needed to be replaced. It's a $4,000 to $6,000 ticket, so you gotta take that information to your owners and try to tell them that this might be the best course of action. Ended up getting the whole system replaced. Got a brand new HVAC system. At this point, the tenants were a little disgruntled just because of the frequency of what was going on. After we installed the HVAC system, they knocked a water line loose that ended up spilling thousands of gallons into the garage and drywall. So
Thousands?
Thousands, probably 10,000 gallons.
That's incredible.
Had to go out there the next day to fix that. About a week goes by. After that, we get another call from the tenants, same condo unit. They are noticing that they heard rodents in the walls, and we think that some rats probably got in there during the install process, kind of opened up some gaps.
Right.
About a day later, they told us that the HVAC system wasn't working, brand new system. So we sent our guys out there. Turns out a rat got caught into the blower motor of the HVAC system, chopped up the rat, and destroyed the blower motor on a brand new system. So we had to get that replaced. Anything can happen. The moral of the story is some things are out of your control and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we responded accordingly and did everything right, but sometimes you just can't do anything right. So
now imagine if you own 10 buy and hold properties and all of a sudden all 10 of them just something crazy like this happened. Are you really going to want to do that?
It'd be chaos.
I personally would not want to have to do anything with that.
Yeah.
Wow, I just definitely earned a greater appreciation for for property managers.
No joke. Let us do it for you.
Certainly. All right, John. So how do people get a hold of you here in town? With your property management.
Thanks
company?
for the plug. At any point, you can check out our website. It's www.towerprops.com. That's properties shortened.
Link in description.
Yeah, it'll be in there. And you can also email us at any point at info@towerprops.com. We'll respond accordingly. Greg also knows how to get a hold of us. You're in good hands with this man. So if you want to go through him, that's perfectly fine too.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and how are they going to find you on Instagram?
I think it's JRM Texas Realtor, but I'm not positive. So
You guys will find him.
we'll have to post that in
Look for the
bio.
big beard.
Yeah, the big beard, the big man and the big beard.
Well, folks, I trust you've all found this useful. Thank you again, John Martin with Tower Property Management. We will see y'all next time.
Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.
Smash that subscribe button.